Welcome to episode of Barkman Saturdays. And this week I started to take a look at Batman and Harley Quinn. And I find myself in a bit of a weird spot in that I enjoy the film, but I also have complaints about it. And they're not like minor complaints. They really hold the film back. On the good side, the film starts off, with its opening credits, after a bit of action, involving Jason Woodrow and Poison Ivy stealing from Star Labs, some data to make, a super virus that can turn people into human-plant hybrids, or at least help do that. We have an opening credit sequence, involving Harley Quinn, pulling pranks on Batman and Nightwing and the villains. So we have an opening that, is meant to really give this film a more campy, feel. Though I have to admit that does have some tonal whiplash for the fact we watch, Jason Woodrow clearly kill a guy by, stabbing him to death in the opening action sequence, which, is probably the biggest problem this film has. Like, its more dramatic moments, just don't work very well because so much of the film is very campy in its approach. Now, when it tries to be more dramatic, it just creates a tonal whiplash that just really hurts the film. It's my biggest complaint about it, is that it's just totally inconsistent. As for the humor, like I said, it's mostly campy, but we also throw in some fart jokes. Harley Quinn barfs in the bat plane, because apparently she gets airsick. So the film definitely, likes to go with raunchier jokes and stuff, so it just tries to play a bit of the field, but mostly, yeah, it's very campy. Like, they really wanted to capture the 60s era of Batman. But yeah, that tonal whiplash that gives you, it just hurts. Heck, the movie doesn't even have a proper resolution, it feels like, because we never see Batman actually stop Jason Woodrow from, releasing the virus into the swamp and through the rest of the world, through that. We just see Batman and Nightwing, kiss Harley Quinn after pointing out that he's very leafy, with the suggestion that, they just light him on fire, and that'll solve all the problems, because they can't beat him up, because he's too tough. Because he's a dryad, so he's made of wood. They're just like, just burn him. And then we get, a credit sequence where he's running around screaming because he's on fire. Like, yeah, sure, it's stupid and funny, I guess, but it feels like, you don't have a proper resolution to the film at the end of the movie itself. So, yeah, there's just things about this film that I just feel like they could have been better. Like, tonally, it should have just stuck to, the campy stuff if they're going to go that route. Or if they wanted to do the more dramatic sequences, like when Harley Quinn, is telling a guy, like, Batman's here and he's going to make it or be fine and whatnot. Just, like, pick a lane. Like, seriously. Because it's not good to do both, because it really drives the audience nuts. And yes, I realize, in the Adams West Batman movie, the plan for the bad guys was to basically, kidnap some ambassadors and ransom them off, so, the world could be saved from another world war breaking out if the ambassadors couldn't come to some sort of peace deal. So having big stakes, can happen in a campy movie, but a super virus just doesn't really work for that kind of plot line, because it's not so over-the-top insane, with stuff like Anthrax out there, or all these movies about the spread of zombie viruses. It just doesn't work as a campy plotline thread, okay? Not unless the virus is something, like, extremely out there weird or something, and even turning people into plant-human hybrids just isn't weird enough, in my opinion, for it to fall into the campy side of things. But yeah, I mean, if you enjoy more campy Batman, you might get some enjoyment out of this. But yeah, the issues are clearly there, and I can see why some people really don't like this film. Until next time, then. See ya.
I was just about to call you.
Meet you at the car.
Did you get what you needed?
Well, yeah. Evie's whereabouts, of course. That's what you meant. No, not yet. Like you never made out with a supervillain.